Okay, we're going to sharpen a drill today. Can you zoom in on this guy? There's a couple of things wrong. Some of our angles are wrong here. So before I start, I'm just going to black everything up so I can see what I'm actually grinding and what has been left from someone else. So there's some issues with this. Angles. That's a good clean start. Does anyone have a drill gauge? Yeah. Okay, so before we turn our grinder on, obviously this one just shut off, it's still moving. We spin the wheel to make sure that there's no chips or breaks in it. We're going to do the 60-second rule with this, but since it was just running, I'm going to skip over it. I'm going to turn the machine on. Know which wheel is also your coarse wheel and your fine wheel. In this case, I'm going to use this wheel here. Okay. Your stance is really important. You should stand shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent. I'll get that in a second. Yep. And then keep your elbows at rest. If we take a look where our center of our wheel is, when I set this up, before I start, if I take a look at this edge here, I'm going to make sure that this edge is parallel. I'm going to go into the wheel and I'm going to raise up slowly. Rotate to this side, into the wheel, raise up slowly. I'm actually going to push a little bit into my hand so that when I repeat, it goes into the same spot. Okay? So I'm going to lean in, small amount. I'm going to put my hands close to the grinder. We will talk about safety, etc. in class. Okay? Do not touch the actual grinding wheel with your hands. Also double check to make sure the spacing of the wheel to the guard is proper, which is about 1 millimeter. Okay, so I'm slightly bent, knees down. I'm going in parallel, and then I'm going to go in, rotate up. In, rotate up. Always one continuous motion, and it's going to arc in. I don't want to go too high like this, because then that'll change this angle in the back. You don't want to go too low. You want to make sure that depending on the diameter of the drill and the angle that you're putting on, that this is supported. If you feel the drill is getting warm, cool it down. If you hear a ksh, that's bad. That means you let it get too hot. And you should only be using water, not coolant. Now we take a look here. What you want to see is this edge be sticking out. If I would have started my drill like this and went like that, what I would find here on the drill would be a bent piece here. And this here would be hitting the material before my cutting edge would. What you want to see is a sharp edge going up and then rounding all the way around to the back side. Now, if I would have overextended, went like this too much, what happens then here is this grind continues down and actually rounds off this cutting edge. It almost looks like I went like this with the drill. That's what's happening when you overextend too much with my rounding. So one more time, I'm going to come in. Nice and comfortable. Firm stance. It looks okay. Now we can't really thin on these wheels because the radiuses in the corner are too big. Who had the drill gauge? So you're going to use our drill gauge to double check to make sure that yes, my angle is correct. And I'm off by a bit. The angle isn't as important as the length is. You want to make sure that the length, they are identical, because if one of these lengths is longer than the other, what will happen is your drill will wander and you won't drill a straight hole. Okay, so So I'm going to adjust my angle. So I need to take more off of this edge. So I'm going to readjust my stance. Now what I should have done was block this up so I could see when I was getting to the final edge. And I'm going to hold that up there. I'm getting close, I'm really close now. I need to go a little bit more. Just a hair off. If I hold it up to the light I can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a black magic marker this time, just so I can show the difference. And I'm going to black up one edge. Be careful when touching the tip of the drill also after you've done it. This drill is a larger drill and it didn't heat up that much, but if your wheel isn't sharp, you can burn yourself on the edge of the drill. So don't do that. So I'm going to position myself just slightly a little bit more. And this takes practice, lots of practice. In an arc, in an arc. Well, we're getting close. I'm going to take off a little bit. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Let's take a look here. Hold that up to the light. Can you see that? There's a little light going through there. I know it's difficult to get in a shot. There we go. Okay. And then you double check to make sure the other side's the exact same way. But the most important is that you're measuring to make sure that this flute and that flute are the same length. We have good clearance in the back. There's no tipping in the front. And that's basically it, except for a lot of practice. Now, there's a second way of doing this, which is generally used when you're, instead of using a grinder, you use a belt sander. Instead of going upward, you go downward with a belt sander. Because the belt flaps over, you have to go down, because if you go up, what it'll do is it'll cause a rounding effect. Some guys will do the downward motion on the grinder as well. Either way, whatever you're most comfortable with. I always show the upward motion because it's easy for new people to learn that. Thank you for paying attention to my video.